All right. Welcome everyone. So what we're doing is we had a class the last time, and we worked on CMDB, and also we worked on catalog, and worked on knowledge article, worked on CMDB, and today we'll be having a continuation class of the catalog form which we're trying to design. Now, basically, I did explain what catalog mean and how it works. It's kind of like a place where you can make requests based on your company. It's like a platform. It's in ServiceNow. It's a module in ServiceNow also, where it's under request management, and you can actually request for anything. And I did mention of order block, order guide. Sorry, I made mention of record producer, and I also made mention of what's it called, catalog item, and also we I talked briefly on request item and catalog tags. Well, I was going to explain why they are important and what they are used for, what their use is. So when you make a request, right, and for you to have a request item and a service catalog tax, you need to have a flow in your catalog. So when you have a flow, then you can have that. You can have such an arrangement, which I'm still going to show to you. Just give me a minute, please. Just give me a minute. Let me just. I'll be back shortly. All right, I'm back. So Ibe, can you just give an overview of my last previous class about the task service catalog, so that I can know that you understand it, or I need to go back and retouch on it?
Please, please, you may have to retouch on it, sir. Please.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Uh, okay. So I'm going to share my slides. But please, before the next class, I need the assignment. Please, very important. All right, let's carry on. So the last class, I talked about catalog item. Now, as part of your job as a ServiceNow administrator, you might be asked, you submit your CV, you have everything inclusive, you filled it up, and they ask you, what have you done? What have you done in your previous role as an administrator? Now, most things you can say you've done, just the knowledge, is just knowledge based basically on the job you're trying to, or the certificate you're going to get, and what's the benefit of a certificate, just to trace it. Now, first of all, or just to do a recall about it. First of all, you have to know that your job as a service now is to maintain your instance, to maintain an organization instance, basically. When I say maintain, up from the point of where you create role, user, and group, you can also create CMDB. That's why gave you that assignment. You also need to know how to create your table, right? You need to know how to create your table. You need to design a list view for yourself. That's yourself. You can also configure a form. But when you've done your scripting, then you can customize a form. Now, anything that does not have out of the box where you cannot easily get it, then you have to use a script. In the point where ServiceNow does not have an already made method which you can just apply, right? So now, when we come to catalog is one of the main function of an administrator. It's part of your function of an administrator because you're trying to create what a request form, right? Using what catalog. Now, the first thing you need to know is that, as you can see on my slide, when you go to when you shop online, what do? You go to Amazon, you check, I need a laptop, you check it. When you check you need a laptop, the next thing you do is you choose the laptop which you want, right? You choose the laptop which you want. When you choose the laptop you want, you add it to your cart and you click what? Buy. Now, every company has their method, how it's been arranged, but that is the basic way they go about it. You click buy. Now, that is what the same similar scenario you have here. Now, service catalog, a user browse the catalog for an item they wish to order or request. Now, you shop item, you different catalog, right? Now, under order guide, you can shop for two, like when you have a catalog item, right? A catalog item basically, for instance, you are saying you configuring someone trying to get a laptop. There are some features you want to know. So when you want to buy a laptop, they can ask you what's the RAM. Now understand that those things that are being asked, they are just part of the questions that they are part of the way to know exactly what you want, the kind of laptop you want. Now, under other guide, you have multiple catalog items. That's just the difference. And under record producer, The difference is you are creating a task from that request. I've touched on this before, but I'm just trying to recall. Yeah. Now, when you place an order, that is a request. When you make a request item is created. Right. I'm also going to show you that the request item is created. Now, from your request item, depend on the flow, a service catalog task will also be created. Now, when that is created, that is the process you go through. You have your request item, then a tax, a service catalog tax is being what? Created for that particular tax. What could be the service catalog tax? The tax could be who is going to manage that order. So when you place the order, you've made your payment, you've done your part. You've made a request. Now, someone has to pick the request. That request, it might be it will have to go through a flow. When it goes through a flow, now the task being created is who is going to manage that particular request. I'll give you another example. Most company, what they do is they tell you, I need an airport, for instance. Now, the best way to go about it, I might go to the HRO portal. Oh, no, sorry, I go to the IT portal. Under the IT portal, you make request for your iPod. Now, when you make that request, that is when you click on send, a request is created. You've created you've done a request, right? You made a request. Now, that request will now go through a flow which we create what? A request item. Right? Now, that request item, right now, someone will have to, it will now go through a flow. If my manager approves that I can get the iPod, a tax is created. Now, that tax is who is going to manage that my request. So somebody will be responsible. The person will reach out to me and say, Mr. A or Mr. B, come and get your AirPod is ready for collection. Now, there's another thing you need to know. If after I have picked up my iPod or AirPod or anything, yeah, the AirPod, yeah. Now, if I don't close that ticket, they can just write a script or they run a schedule, depends, or they can no, basically they write a script, right? They write a script that if you don't come back, if you don't close this ticket after a certain period of time, especially because when they give you the airport, someone will click on complete from their end. So the task will be complete. Now, when that task is complete, automatically I need to go to the request where I made my request and click on complete. Now, what about the request item? Now, ServiceNow has a procedure still on your flow. You can create a flow that says if after not even schedule, you can use a flow to do that. If after 7 days, 14 days, he has not done that, right? We check time. But that's only if this is approved. You can use a timer. Once that day complete, it will automatically close the task. And once you close the task, you also need to make sure that the request item task is closed and the request is also closed. Right? So this is just an overview of what you do when you place an order. Request catalog to request manager. Now, what do you request for? You can request for an item. Items are building block, basically variables. Now, these are the questionnaires. We have record producer. I've told you, create a task from it. The flow, this is what is necessary, very important in ServiceNow. For you to make sure that your process goes smoothly, you need a flow in your ServiceNow You need to you need to add a flow to your catalog item. All right, so without wasting much time, we are just going to go straight to our PDI. And also, guys, as much as I enjoy teaching, I also enjoy people submitting assignments, right? I think that is what gives me the joy that you understand. I've had a session before and people did not really work on their assignments, which did not really encourage me because at the end of the day, it's just going to be like another program that you just go through and you didn't really benefit anything from it. So always try as much as possible to do assignment. It's going to help you. It's going to build you up, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is something short, easy, and soft, but it's going to cover up everything on what catalog item. It's going to cover up everything on catalog item. So take for instance, you have just a minute. All right, so take for instance, right? You are an administrator and you've been given some tasks to do, right? You're giving some tasks to do. So I did there was a work, there was something I was working on that day. Something I was working on that particular day. Don't know if I dropped it on the chat. Not the CMDB. All right, so how do we go to where we're going to create your catalog item? What do you have to do? What do you need to do when you want to create a catalog item, guys? Who can try? Can any of you attempt, please?
Please come again with the question.
So if I want to create a catalog item, what do I need to do? What's the first thing I need to do? You guys should watch the video, right? Try and watch the video sometimes so that you can just grab some stuff. So the first thing I need to do is now, if you click on catalog, let's assume you are not good with cramming anything. You can't cram. You don't want to cram, right? You go to catalog. Under catalog, you look for maintain item. So that's why I try to show you guys the best way to go about it so that you don't have to cram anything. You just know the basic things to look out for, then you get it. Now you go to maintain item, you click on maintain item, right? When you click on maintain item, the next thing you're going to do, you want to create new, right? You want to click on new. I need to find. Did anyone get the question I was working on that day?
No.
Okay, okay. I have to look for that question because it's going to help us. It's going to really help us. All right, so let's just crack on, right? We're going to do some simple example. So the first thing you want to do, you give it a name. So we can work on demo farm, right? So when you do that, like I said, I've explained all these things, right? So service catalog. Now you can choose any of this one. Now all these things you're choosing are based on your what? Your user story, right? Based on your user story. Um, so you can do that. But I'm going to choose service catalog. Now, under service catalog, there are also options. So depend, you can create new options. So it's like having a parent and a child, right? You have a parent and a child saying, "Oh, create a catalog." So I would let me show you something, guys. All right. So look at this. This is like a case, a user story for you also. Now, this story says create a catalog, right? A service catalog. Now, different categories. You have category one, which is application. Under under your service catalog, oh, that's where you have category one, category two, and level three. Sorry. Now, when you want to start creating your catalog, this is actually just a rough work of what you would see. Now, when you want to create it, the the keyword which will be used for searching the catalog item, please separate it with comma. It should be application mapping, right? So if you come down here, it says catalog name should be account management. Short description should be this, description should be this, picture should be this. Now, literally, they are trying to say what it should be under service catalog. When you've created this three, you should choose what application, right? You should choose application. This is going to be your assignment. This is an assignment I'm going to give you guys that you're going to work on. Now, it tells you request for is a reference field. It tells you check your CI discovery, right? This one they are working on discovery. It has its own it has a flow. This is the flow for it. So you guys, so now what we're trying to do right now is to understand why we're even creating all this thing. So when you under service catalog, under category service catalog, so if you go to your SP, your service portal, right? These are categories. There are categories where you can easily check for what you want. So instead of going to search and all that, they are all categorized. So under service catalog, they have different category that this information are stored there. So when you're looking for it, you just have to go to that category, check for it, it comes out, or you go to the search box and you get all the information you want. So it's under service catalog. If you want to the state, you can't choose a state here, right? You see this place, it just says read only. So this is a read only sign, guys. I am the system administrator. So obviously this is an application. It's not on the global. All right, so let me log out of this one and display another one. Let me just log out of this one. I'm just trying to log out. I'll log in again. Please, if you don't understand, tell me so that I can go back and explain, right? I'm trying to do it in the best way that I know you can understand it and be able to work on it just like that. So, all right. So this is what we were working on the last time. So the first thing we go So tell me, if I want to create a catalog item, what's the first thing I need to do, guys?
You search the menu and click on maintain item, then create new.
All right. Under where would you find the maintain item?
On the menu list,
Under where? Which category? Like under which application will you find that maintain item?
Catalog.
Is
catalog.
that is it? That is it. So we are following today. Yeah, that's
Uh,
good. Lovely. So that's what we're going to how we are going to carry on with the class now. So we'll do a slight question and answer within the process, so that everyone can get involved in it. So the last time what we worked on, I'm just going to add. So tell me, guys, if I've created something and I want to look for it, what's the easiest way to find it?
You go to history.
I know, so I don't want to go to it. I've created this maintain this catalog item, right, about 3 weeks ago, and I just open my instance, open the catalog item, and it's not displaying immediately. What can I do?
mm, just type the name on the search bar.
All right, and also another easy way is if you don't have created date here, just come down to your configure, right? Come down to your configure, go towards list layout. When you go to your list layout, you can choose what's created. Choose created, and you save. So there are different methods, right? You can also go to your breadcrumbs here and check. So for me, I can come here and say A to Z, and come here and say Z to A, right? So domain train, demo train is the last one I created. Now, under this demo train, guys, so I did explain all these things to us the last time, right? From the name, category, we can even add a picture. Now, there are two things you need to know. From this, your item details, you can drop a note. So if I tell if there's an information about the company, you can drop it here and also put a picture here. That's going to be constant, right? So if I want to add a picture, I choose a file, go to picture, choose a file. So something you need to know, when you click on OK, oh, it's just slowing up a bit. All right, so it's saved. Now you come back to your form. Now you go to try it. So you can see that we have this image here, right? All right, so I'll go back again. Now I want to delete it. You go to icon, choose this one, save, okay. Refresh. Did you guys see any image here for icon? So when you want to add, make sure you are adding it on picture. Now on your front end, so let's still check the front end. Let's go and check the front end. So when we say front end, we are talking about your what? Your service portal, right? And how do you get to your front end? So So for me, I'm not going to waste time. Just going to come here, SP. No. SP. All right. So this is your service portal. I told you have your knowledge base. This is for your request something that is under where you, or you can find out all your what catalog that you've created. This is where you're going to find them. So under this, if I don't want to search for it because they are based on, they are arranged via categories. Now, so when you click on demo, even when we hover around, we could not find the image we added. So it has to tell you that when you want to add image, add it on your your picture, right? Add the image on your picture. This one just says so has modified the field value. So you need to add your image on your picture, right? So don't forget, guys. Now you can have this one. Click on save. You can see we have a picture. So let me say I want to bring a write-up. I want to add a write-up to this. My write-up is going to be based on the benefits of ServiceNow. Sorry, service catalog. So I want to add the benefit of service catalog, right? So for us not to waste time, so I'll go on catalog item, demo. So I come to this place, I add this. Different item. All right, so now I've added this to it, right? You can insert an image if you want to. You can insert an image. You can add a short description. So I'm going to update this. So guys, can you see the picture I added is untouched, right? I've also added another picture to it via so under item detail, if you want to have some information, for instance, a write-up and all that, you can also add them there. You can add it. All right, guys. So as you can see, we have this, we've added a definition to our catalog item. Now, after that, the process engine, I've added the flow. I'm going to show you how the flow is created. I'm going to create a flow for you also. You can add a picture. This is pricing. Now, these are variable. I've told you about. We're working on catalog UI policy. Just give me a minute. I need to find the what's it called? What we're working on. I need to find it. Just give me a minute, guys. Let me look for the question I gave you guys to work on. Because that's going to guide us on what we are creating on the catalog item we want to create. But if I can't find it, we just have to crack on with another example. It seems like I can't find it. Well, basically, what we're working on that day, it's going to lead us to creating a flow. So we've got two variables here. I've created two variables. One is reference. Now, one thing you need to know about your variable is these are kind of like questionnaires. So you want to buy in a company, you need a laptop. They might ask you, what kind of laptop do you want? HP, um, Dell, and all that. Then you have to choose. Now, who, for instance, you see a buyer name, my mistake. So this is buyer name. So because I've edited it, it might not change. So I have to just come here and do it manually. Buyer name. Now, guys, I've told you these are just basic information you need, and it will be given to you in your user story. Conversation label. Two tips. I did explain the last time. Annotation. I've explained annotation. Help where you can add information also. You can add information to these places. You see, stuff like this, you can add a picture to it if you want to. Depend on what? Your user story. Now, if you choose a reference feed, take note, guys. If you choose a reference feed, for instance, if you are on a single, if I change this place now to single line test, and I'm trying to auto populate, right? Whatever I'm auto populating, because take note, auto populate, when you are doing using auto population, you are also dot working. So I can come here and say, which of the fields am I trying to populate from? But because I have not created anything much on the catalog item, I cannot auto populate at the moment. If you notice, this place is blank. These are also important information: active, moderately, read only, hide, and all that. So permissions, you barely use permissions, but if your user story asks you to restrict permission or give permission, then you can use it. So should it be visible everywhere? Should it be visible in a bundle? Should it be visible? So it's just about your user story. Like I said, you barely you most 90% out of 90 out of 100 times where you're working, you will not use permission and available under your variable. So that is it. Now I'm going to create more variables, right? So another one, because I have chose this place to be a reference feed, right? So I'm going to show you how the dots work, how it works. So I will say this should be 15, because all that tells you the mode of arrangement. who should be first, who should be second, third, fourth, and all that. Now, if I choose single line text and I go to my question and I say buyer's email, right? Automatically it comes here. The conversation label, you can leave. We don't feel most time we don't feel this part except it includes you're asked to do it. When you have a user story, it tells you exactly how to work. I've said that countless times. Also, same with this, but I've showed you how it works. If you're confused, check the last video. Now, when you go to type specification, if you are using a reference feed, you can fill this part. If it's not, ignore. By default, also, I've shown you by default. Now, this is where I want to show you how we use the dot work. So if I want to get the email of the buyer, so I don't want the buyer to fill everything. And when I say email of the buyer is for a department now, someone requesting for a laptop, I want him to just fill only his name and allow every other information like his email, department should auto populate. So I come down to auto populate. Because I've created by, that is a reference feed. Now you're going to see under user, you have what? Email. So you can click on the email and you just say what? Enter, save, submit, sorry. Like I said, if you click on, I have a question, right? So guys, if I click on save the first time and that template is still open, if I want to keep working on that template, like adding more, what should I click next? What should I do next?
You have to click save.
After save, what next? If I want to still keep using that template, what should I do next?
You will go to create by.
Okay, I'll make it easy for you. Now, when I click on save on that initial one, so I'm going to show you another one first. So now we've created this, right? Just watch, because if I go to try it, so let's say I choose user. You see, guys, automatically the email comes out. The email comes out. Oh, I thought I deleted this. Updates. All right, so I want to add the department of the department of the buyer. So I'll go down here, put 17, single line test. I'm going to put buyer department.
Sorry, you didn't tell us the answer again. No, we are moving on.
That's what I'm sure. That's what I want to show you. I want to show you where the answer will come from. All right. So when you, because I want to dot work, I want it to auto populate the department. So I'm going to come here, reference the buyer, name buyer, then I'm going to go to what? Dot work. Now, if I go to the departments and click on departments, right? Like the question I asked you was, if I want to save this, now what should I do? I should click on save first. If I want to create more variable, once this one save, I will fill this place again, right click here and click insert and stay. That's what I was expecting. Insert and what? Stay. Is that clear, guys? All right. So now I also want to show you guys something. So if I update this, for instance, I've not done anything. I'm just updating it so that we can go back to this place. So we have a try it here already. Let me refresh this one. So when you've done anything, you just click on refresh on your try it. So if I choose, for instance, I have to be sure it has a department. So let me use this one. So let me check if he has a department. Does not have a department, so I have to choose someone that has departments. Now, this is what I'm trying to say to you guys. Because this particular place, so what we are seeing here is called the sys ID, right? This is the sys ID. Why are we having a sys ID instead of having a name there? It's because we are referencing a department, and that department is also, like I've told you, if you see plus sign, I'll show you again. Under departments, can you see this plus sign? Now it means that it's also a reference, it has a reference field. So if we want to make sure the name changes, first of all, we can come to department. If we don't want to change this place to a single to reference field, we just come down to department. We'll come down here, you click on this plus. Now you go to name. You've done your dot work already. Save it. Now come back here, refresh. Go back again and choose Andrew. Can you see? It will display the name. But if you just click on that department, you did not dot work it properly, it will not display. So that is that. You can try the other one. So another one, what we're going to do again. So now we've done the dot work. Yeah, so you know what dot work means. You know how to dot work now, right? All right. So we go on to another one. So if, for instance, we are having this multiple choice, which has to do with different colors. We have gold, silver, and brown. Now, we have to create another variable. If it is gold, okay, we have 20. Yeah, that's what I was trying to check. So now we'll click on new variable. So we'll call this 25. Mind you, most people, when it comes to order, most people use 100, 200, 300 just in case they want to add multiple variables in it. So depend on what you are doing, you need to give room, you need to give space. So if there's correction, it makes it easy. So imagine I have 10, 5, 10, and I had about 6 variable to add. What's going to happen? I have to delete something and add again. So guys, let's carry on. So if we want, we'll say when it's gold, yeah, when it's gold, I'll make this a choice field. So now I want, so when it's gold, right? Okay, no, we're going to make this a multiple choice field. So the next thing I'm going to do is I would save. Let me not use the word when it's gold. Let me change it to process. So we'll say process, right? Now under process, I'll save again. Under process, we'll go to choice. Now under this choice, we will have I'm just trying to create something out of the blue, right? So for our previous assignments we worked on, we had all right, so I want to use this, all of this: install, pending, deploy, maintain, maintenance, retire, and loss. So I'll come back here. I have a reason for that. So the first one, submit. So like I said, you can click on save. The next one now, take it out. Now, okay, what should I click now if I want to save this thing and I want to still be on this template? What should I click?
Insert and save.
Exactly. Insert and stay. Insert and stay, right? Don't forget. Now, what I'm trying to do is I want to show you how UI policy works. That was all we're creating the last time. So UI policy work by saying, you know, if you have a room, if you have a house, right? And you can say, if, first of all, I need the main entrance to get into the house, right? If you have 3 rooms and in that 3 rooms, 2, there's a bathroom, one has a bathroom, one just have a restroom in your house, right? And you have 3 rooms, one does not have at all. The person that lives on that one room that does not have any of those accessories, right? So they all have a key. They all have three keys. UI policy help you streamline each of them to what they can have visibility for. Now, I can use a UI policy and say, if you click gold, you should only see pending or processing, right? If you click brown, you should only see if you click brown, you should only see what deployment and so on and so forth. So that is what your UI policy does. It helps you what streamline visibility to what they can see, not just visibility alone. So when you go to your UI policy, you see other stuff, make it visible, but it has to be based on a what? A condition. So once it's based on the condition, so now we've created deploy, insert and stay. Take note, guys, because I'm not changing this number, it's just going to be arranged by, it's just going to organize itself. It's not going to be based on the arrangement. It's just going to organize itself, right? So if you are asked to put them orderly, then you have to. So the user story determines what, how you would configure your catalog item form. Now we'll save and insert, come back again, retired. You go to insert and stay. Comes the last one. I cannot click on what? Update. So if you come here, guys, you're going to see all that I have created. You can see I have pending twice. I created pending twice. So I can come here. I open it and I delete it. So I can also change this name to what we have there as installation status, the installation status. So if I'm writing the name, I have to clone it the way it's supposed to be on that name. The question can be without underscore, but the name have to be with what? Underscore, guys. All right. Now we've created multiple choice. I want a situation where if I choose, so go to try it. Refresh. Now, if I don't want it like this, I want it to be in a drop down. It's still easy, guys. So you just come here. Now, see, guys, include none. Do not select the first choice. Once you click on this, update. Now refresh. So first of all, I am not allowed to select, right? So I've done that. Now I want to go back again. You click on it again. Drop down. So it's on multiple choice. Include none. So in case you want to include none, this is what you get. So under multiple choice, this is what you can have. So I have none. So if you're not choosing anything, I can make it mandatory fee that you must choose something. So now I want it, if when you choose on gold, you should only see deploy and installed. Right, guys? So we're just going to go for our 10-minute break. So we'll be back here by 4:18. So guys, we'll get back here by 4:18. So just take this 10 minutes to do what you want to. Thank you. All right, guys. I would just beg for extra 3 minutes so I can just drop off his stuff now. Just 3 minutes, please. All right, guys. So let's just carry on. So I was just trying to double check, right? If we want to have, what we should have here is it should be select box so that we can have the choice. So if I go back here, so you can see, guys, we now have that drop down. So if you are using multiple choice, you will have this drop down. If you are using select box, you will have this drop down. Both of them are both choice lists, but their appearance is different, right? So I would go back. All right, so on this other one, this multiple choice, I'm going to leave it multiple choice, but I want it to have what? No, you should have to pick, choose. I don't want the first one to be selected. So I'm just going to update that one. So now we've created what? Reference with .work. And I told you that if you don't .work properly, if you have a reference feed, you are not .working well, it will show you the sys right? So another one we can do again is we can have a variable, we can create a variable. So you can either add a single variable or you have what? A multi-row variable. Now, a single variable is what we've created before, we've created already. Those were single variable. You can have you can just create another multiple single variable where you can use in different places, or you can have a multi-row variable. So let's add a multi-row variable. You just give it a name, multi-row, description demo, submit. Now you come back, you click on that multi-row variable. Under that multi-row variable, you can add, you go to new. So what's the question? Incident ID. Incident ID. Incident ID should be a reference. So what are we referencing? Or referencing your incident table. So whenever you have a reference, take note that you have to reference something. So it has to be, if I click on, so incident, reference incident table. That is it. Now I'll add another one. What are we going to call it? Let's say make it a select box, and for active users, just for active users, we'll just click on submit. Now, once I update this, so let's update. Can you guys see? You can click on add. So you can have multiple choice here all at once, and they will all display. So I can go to incident and click on any incident. Now, this is a checkbox. Oh, I didn't configure it properly. So I'll go back again. So basically, all this I'm doing right now is just, I'm just manufacturing them. All right, so the last time I told you, when you click on select box, you should have a what? A multi-choice. So these are the choice. Well, I was supposed to click on checkbox. So I've updated it now. It's on checkbox. So if we come here, now, we refresh. You can see once you click on add, you have a checkbox, and you can just add this, right? Does that make sense, guys? Do you all understand it? If you don't, you can ask me questions so I can go back again. Email, or do you understand?
When I rewatch, I will understand better.
Okay. What about you, Okwe?
I'm trying to cope.
Am I too fast?
Yeah, you are too fast now. You are
All right.
getting too. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it slow again. Now, like I said, these things are just, I'm just the one creating them. I'm trying to use up the variables, different kind of variables that we have, right? But in the real sense, you are going to be giving a user story where you would have to follow up with the user story, and it tells you exactly what and what you need to do. All right, so we saw examples on how to create a variable, a variable, and how to create a variable set, right? Now, all what we've been doing, we've been creating variable. So you can also have what you can create. So let's go back to that variable set. You use your variable set most times when you have a specific field and you want them to replicate in different catalog item. So take for instance, this first four, this first three, I want them to be constant. That is all my user story, include buyer email, buyer department. So if these are constant, I'm just going to create what a variable set, a normal variable set that's going to have these three field that at all time I just had to link my variable set to it. Now, if I don't want to create any variable set, I can come to edit. When you go to edit, you can choose from any variable set that is available. Right? So we've used reference, I've shown you how to dot work, we've used multiple choice, we've used select box, right? And so on. So depend on what you want. Now we'll go down to UI policy. Now under UI policy, you can just say demo for gold. Now, what are we trying to do? Just sorry guys, just 2 minutes, please. All right. So when you have that, you have to choose a condition. What condition? Choose color. Now, what I'm trying to do is if color is good, now all these things applies to request item. If you don't click them, they will not display on either catalog tag or requested item. But when you click them, they are going to be visible. What time do you want it to kick in? When you load the form, you want it to kick in. Now, reverse the effect on the catalog UI policy action when condition evaluate to false. So if you click it, it means once the condition is false, it will revert. Now, the next thing you do, you click on submit. I've created one UI policy. Now I'll go back and click on that UI policy. Right? Under the UI policy, I want to create new. Now, which variable am I concerned about? I'm concerned about what? Your installation status. Mind you, guys, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say if I click on gold, I should have only these two that will be available for me to choose from. I don't want people to have these 6. That is the essence of why I'm including the UI policy. So what do I want to do? Now, I'm trying to make, first of all, I'm trying to make it read only, mandatory, or available, or either of them. So I'm going to choose your variable. And I will say what? Visible alone. I would submit. So still on it, we are still going to pick. So I've created the UI policy visible to this. So I also want to create another condition, another UI policy. So I'm just repeating what I've done before. So I've created 2 UI policy. Now under silver, I'll click on new. So basically, this will tell you which variable you are trying to display. So under silver also, we are going to display installation to each of them. Then after that, we'll create another UI policy saying that if silver is this, and so it's going to be if color is silver, right? Installation is this, then this should be visible. Do you understand, guys? Can you guys say something so I can know you guys are following up? All right, so before we carry on, I'm just going to ask a few questions. So let me know if you understand. What is the essence of the UI policy? So what's the essence of the UI policy, guys?
It's the user interface, right?
Not just the user interface. So the essence of UI policy, first of all, what's the essence of the UI policy? Why are we using UI policy? So what do we do before we use UI policy?
It's to ascertain our references.
References.
Yes, like our what we are need to assign to is to streamline or to check the exactly what we assign to a portfolio.
Okay, I would correct that. But first of all, why do we need why do we need what's it called? Why do we need to create a variable set? Why do we need to create a variable set?
It contains options when one is filling out the form.
Okay. So
It's going to be on our survey. It's going to be on our uh, um, service. How am I going to put it now?
all right, so basically, right, what I was trying to create can be done with a script, right? But under your UI policy, basically what you can do, you can make some of the fields available and some not available. So like I've done now, I said if I click silver, right? So for me to get that part of it, if I click silver, right, I need to add another option first. The other part, I was thinking UI policy can do it. When you say if um you click on silver, then you can get the other one. You can only do that with a script. You can do that with a script. So under your service catalog, I am just going to create another variable like date. I'm going to create a variable like date. So add more variable to it. So you go to your variable, then we add another one. So we can add date. Now, mind you, all this stuff you are seeing, this place that is container, right? You can use your container just like you did in your um, form builder. So instead of you have a section and column, if you notice under your form layout, you have this split. You have start, split, and end. That is what your container means in your catalog. You can redesign your catalog using container start, container split, and container end. Right? So I'll need you to check that. Then back to what I asked you guys. First of all, you are using your UI policy to make some field available and some field non-available depend on your user story. So your UI policy basically, you can just say UI policy is to what make field visible or not visible based on your user story. Why do you need variable set? Variable set is like when you have a task that you carry on continuously, you call them recurring tasks. When you create variables all the time, a certain variables that you always create, you can create a variable set for that variables so that whenever you are working, it makes your work easy. Is that clear, guys? All right. So if I have a date, if I have dates now, and I just put dates of work, right? So I'm not going to do too much. All right, so I'll go back to my UI policy. Now, I said if you choose gold, then if you choose gold, then this should be visible. So I'll go back again. So when you choose gold, true, right? I'll update it. And the second UI policy there, I'll go back again. So under this demo color, I've not created a UI policy for it, so let me create one. So when I click silver, right, I don't want them to see this. When they click on silver, I don't want them to see leave alone. So I don't want to be visible for them. So I'll click on submit. So let's come back here, refresh this. Now take note, before anything, whatever you choose will determine what you will see. You see, when I click on gold, you can see all these functions. Now, when I click on silver, can you see the functions? All right, so, but if what I was trying to do when I said you click on silver, it's going to show you those two. The only way I can show you that is to run a script, but we are not doing scripting right now. You don't need scripting right now. So what you just need is the basic things, like the basic information that you should be, that should be available to you, that you need to work at this moment. No one's going to ask an admin to write a script, right? So you can use your UI. You can see I use my UI policy to control the fields that are visible to the buyer or to the person creating a record, right? Because when you're filling all these things, it's going to create something. It's going to create a form, sent to service catalog and all that. So that is it for that. So it's only when I write a script I can show you that, but when we get to the developer part, you will see that. Now, available for, they've asked me this question before. They said, how do you make a catalog visible to a department? If you have restriction, you can use available for. So when you click on available for, you go to new. If you are creating a new policy, right? It's just like a user criteria, basically. So you put your name, you put your description, you can choose the group. Now, take note, when you click on all, if I choose that, for instance, I choose the user, I said able tutor, right? And I also say department should be IT. If these two conditions are not met, they will not be allowed to use that variable. Is that clear, guys? Now, the opposite of that is your what? Not available for. So if you want to restrict people, you can also go to that place and restrict them. Just add them normally, add them by user, add them by department, by location, and you can what? Restrict them. Catalog is just like this catalog here. It's just the same name. Category, sorry. Catalog and all that. They are just the same names here. The catalog you choose, the categories you choose, definition lookup. So you barely use this, right? You barely use them. So these are basically what you would do when you're trying to create. Now, after that, the next thing we have to do is what we call process engine. You have to create a flow for it. Now, how do you create a flow? Now, what is the case? What is the user story? The user story is when an employee, right, make a request. So the employee now will indirectly make the employee. So I can readjust these things. Date of work was not having any, does not have any number. So I'll just give it 26 or 30. I save. So now it's going to be orderly. You can see date is under 30 here and all that. So it's now orderly. Now, so back to the user story we're talking about. So I want a situation where if a buyer, right, fills his name, the email and department should be displayed. And also want a situation where if the person choose gold, he should go to the buyer's, it should be employer's manager to make up to approve them for them to what, to even continue to installation status, right? Now after that, we want to also create a tax. Once they click on gold, if it's gold, it should go for approval. Once it's approved, they should create a tax, and that tax, the installation status should indicate, that installation status should be what? Pending. No, if it's approved, then it should go to what? Approve under the installation status. So that's the user story, right? Now, to achieve that, first of all, what is your flow? When you talk about flow, you are just trying to say it's just a process by which approvals are done, right? When people are trying to make a request. So I'll give you another instance. So basically, just an automated, first of all, let me just define it. It is just basically an automated business process without scripting, right? Now, they enable organizations basically to streamline repetitive tasks and coordinate what actions across application. Now, what can come out of your flow, things that can be achieved using your flow could be your approvals, tax, notification, record operations, right? Now, flow design is basically a low code, sometimes it's just basically a low code drop down interface, yeah. It makes it easy for business process, and what? It reduce manual effort. So under this, how to get to your flow, you have to come down here and click on flow. Now they got flow, workflow, and flow design. The difference between your workflow and flow design is you write code in workflow, but under flow design is zero code. Now I'll click on new flow. So what are we creating? We are creating a new flow. So we say work day flow demo. So we don't forget. Description. You can just write flow for demonstration. You click on build a flow. Now, first thing you need to know, guys, is before we carry on, let's go back to let's come back to this place. Your service what portal. Now, under your service portal, can you see what we have designed? So this is where people will make requests. So let's fill in this first one. Let's take for it. Let's just use let's say Abraham Lincoln, production manager. It chose gold, and it's under what? Maintenance, for instance. Choose a date today. So these are not mandatory fields. So under this rule, you can choose an incident if you like and say active. Now we make an order. Make sure that who is requesting it. So it should be, I will come back here. I will say system admin. So I want to come out as the system administrator, because who is making the request should be the same person placing that order, right? So the name, so whoever is requesting for it should have their name there, right? So I'm the one making the request. This system administrator is the one making the request. You should also have what? System administrator here, right? Now you click on what? Checkout. Once you click on checkout, a request will be created. Now this request, this is what I'm saying to you guys. This is what you get first. So if I come back here and search, so if I come to search and I click on this, so you can see, guys, this is a request. Now under request, a request item is created. So the moment you make a request item will be what? Created. But you can notice that under requested item, if you click on this part under requested item, you would have another template called catalog tags. Like I told you, that is the process. So if they ask you, so what happens? What are the three major things that happen in catalog item when you make a request? Is first of all, you have your request item, and your what? Your service catalog that will be created from a catalog item, right? So now we're going to go through this process. So under your flow, the first thing you have to do is there's what they call trigger. Because we are trying to create, like I told you from the definition of flow, we are trying to automate a business process. Now, we want a situation where people can make requests without asking their manager, telling their manager, Oga, I have, like telling your boss that, hey, boss, I have sent you a mail. I need you to respond to. Now, you don't need to do that anymore because of a flow. Flow is going to help you out with that. If he has an approval or a rejection decision, he is going to get a pop-up at all time whenever the flow is triggered. Now, what are we trying to do? We are working on service catalog. So when we want to add a trigger, we basically adding what from that service catalog. So depend on what you are working on. Like I said, the user story directs your flow. You can use the flow to create anything. You can create a flow for any process. You can create a flow for an incident. You can say, oh, if you have an incident that is high priority, right? And you have an SLA of maybe 10-20 minutes, that automatically there should be an email sent to your manager so that he can what be aware of that situation. You can use a flow for that. But at that point, you are not going to trigger from service catalog, you will trigger from something else. Right? We're going to have that also. So right now we're working on service catalog. So the first thing you need to do is you need to choose. So you say service. All right. So you click on what? Service catalog. So that is the essence of your catalogs, right? So depend on where you create your catalog, that tells you where you can get that information from. So we are trying to bring this table so we're trying to bring this table, right, down towards your flow. So when you say service catalog, you can see, because that is where I created it. That is where it was created, right? So you need to know your catalog that you're using. Now, after that, I click on done. Now, take note, when I click on service catalog, under my trigger service catalog, we have requested item record. And I showed you here that the moment I make that request, I got an ID from that request saying, oh, this is my name, oh, this is my email, like that auto-populated gold, the date, and all those information. The moment I click order, a request is created that will also create what? A request item. So if you're going to look at it, this request and this request item, they have the same number, but the difference is one is arrow EQ and the other one is arrow ITM, request item and your request. Now, if you remember, I told you that while we were updating it, when we were working on that UI policy, you saw something like visible apply on catalog tags, apply on request item. If I unclick these things, the UI policy that I created, the things I have done will not display on my on my requested item. So now I'm going to open another one. So guys, you can see the form that we've created, right? So if I click on silver here, they will disappear. If I click on gold, they will appear. So what we created on our UI policy, because of what we clicked on, because of what we made, because of what we clicked on, basically, had made it also visible in your request item. All right, so with that, we'll go back to our form, our flow. Now, after choosing service catalog, because we created what we are creating this a catalog item under service catalog, right? So now you click on what action after you trigger is you are trying to get the information, you want to trigger something, right? You just want to trigger something. Where will these things come from? Where will the information come from? So you have to select what a trigger in a flow. So after that, you have your action, flow logic, and subflow. Subflow is like a mini flow inside a flow, just like the way you have your variable set. So if you have any constant, any repetitive flow that you are creating, you can just create a subflow and just attach it to any flow that you want to create. Now, actions basically is different from your flow logic. Now, normally, logic could be if I want to go out and it's rain, I won't go out. That's a logic. But action is I want to go for a run, right? I want to eat. Those are action. So there's a difference between your action and your what, your logic. But let's look at it critically. Now you have a process and you want the process to be if I click on gold, I want my manager to approve it. Would that be an action or it would be a logic? So basically, the fact that you want your manager to approve it, that approval is an action, right? And under action, you need to first of all get what you have a service catalog now. Now you have to create a process where you get those your information from your catalog. So this information needs to come here because that is what you want to use. This information, you want to get all these things, your by name and all that, you want to get them into ServiceNow first of all. So we are going to go get. So first of all, you want to get your variables into ServiceNow. So you click on get variables. Now, when you click on get variables, you have your action, which is your get variables. Like I said, these are different from logic, actions, and logic, right? Now, it said submitted requested item. What should be your requested item? Mind you, I told you that the moment you create a request, automatically requested item will be what? Automatically created. I did not create this. You can see the moment I click on this request, yeah, this is what I got. I got this number of my request, right? So once I click on that order, now this number of my request is created, and also a requested item ID will also be created. So it means I have to come down and also take note when you are creating your flow, the first one you created, which is your trigger, create a request item record automatically for you, because that request item is where if you use that. So sorry. All right, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. No problem. We can just call it quit today. Then we'll continue next week. But guys, please just make sure you do your assignments so that we can just be we can know we are all fruitful about this class. So we'll just call it quit at this point. So we'll come back next week. We'll continue from here. We have 5 classes left. So please, guys, let's just make it worthwhile, right? Submit your assignments. Make sure you make effort to finish this program, write the exams, and move over to the next stage. Thank you. See you guys next week.